Wet weather came our way yesterday about 10 minutes after the sprint in MotoGP. We're a little bit worried for some time, but the conditions were plenty good enough to go racing, and as I say, what a race it was. Conditions much different this morning on race day here at the Sepang International Circuit. What a venue and what a day we've got ahead of us, starting with the Asia Talent Cup. The fans already flooding in to the Sepang International Circuit, and I'm very, very excited for what might come our way today. As we've mentioned, Pratama could have won the title yesterday, but he slipped out of contention. But he does have another chance today. He's 55 points clear of race one winner Amon Odaki, and the only other rider who can potentially stop Pratama from claiming the title at all in 2023 is third place Jakkreephat Phuettisan. My name's Elliot York, and joining me for race two, as always this year, is Jack Appleyard. Jack, not what I was expecting to see yesterday with Pratama crashing out of the lead on lap two. He's barely put a foot wrong all season long, and what a time to make a mistake. He's got to make amends today.
Yeah, when I was last with you at the final race of the weekend at the Chang International Circuit in Buriram, we exclaimed that Veda Pratama had put one hand and four fingers on the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, thinking that it was going to be plain and simple for him to come here and wrap up the title. However, a crash yesterday, I'm sure, has got him thinking ahead of this one. He is, of course, still in pole position and should win this championship, but that may well just be in the back of his mind ahead of this one. 55 points clear, as you say. The magic number is the big 50. 50 points will remain at the end of this one, meaning that if he is 50 points or more clear, then the title is his. Otherwise, he goes on to the final round in Qatar next weekend. And if I'm Veda Pratama, that is the last thing I want to happen.
No matter how big your points lead, you never want to go to the final race of the season with the title still on the line. Even if it's 49 out of 50, you never know what can happen. It's very easy to slip out of contention in these races, as we saw yesterday, and a couple of DNFs and a couple of wins for Odaki, who's now got that monkey off his back, and he was so happy with Odaki yesterday. Spoke to him after the race. You saw his celebrations in the highlights there. You saw him as well, Jack, yesterday. He was absolutely ecstatic, and understandably so.
Yeah, we did a presentation yesterday with a few sponsors for the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup, from Accenture to Alpine Stars to Arai, Idemitsu, of course, as well. And that was held at 6:30 all the way through to 7 o'clock yesterday. And Amon Odaki was sat there front row and was still grinning like a Cheshire cat. I don't think the smile will have wiped off his face even throughout the night sleeping. I'm sure he woke up this morning still grinning from ear to ear, the young Japanese rider. I think it's safe to say he was pretty delighted to have taken victory.
Yeah, it certainly was. His first victory since Qatar last year, so well over a year and a half since he last won an Asia Talent Cup race. It meant so much to him. On the other side of the coin, Ezawa was incredibly disappointed on the podium and post-race. Spoke to them yesterday. Ezawa said as soon as the conditions started to dry up, that's when all the riders started to struggle. It was almost easier for them when it was a little bit wetter out there. But Odaki said yesterday, I mentioned obviously he's now second in the overall standings, 55 points down on Pratama, the number 7 on your screens, and he simply said, yes, never give up. And that's, of course, the right attitude to have, because you never know what can happen in racing. Pratama, a commanding position, of course, 55 points. As Jack said, all he needs to do is to hold a 50-point or more advantage after today's race, and he will be champion. The simple maths, we'll get a bit more into the more complicated stuff as we go on, but if Pratama is P1 or P2 at the end of the day, he is champion no matter what happens. If he finishes on the podium, then Odaki needs to win the race, and Phuettisan, needs to win the race. If either of them don't win the race and Pratama is P3, Pratama will still be champion.
I hope you got your notebook out for that one at home and was able to jot down all of the permutations. But as you say, the simple thing to keep in mind that if for the 8th time out of 10 occasions Veda Pratama is able to finish inside the top 2, job done. Title is his. Let the fireworks off. Get the championship T-shirts out. I was going to say you can pop the bubbly, but it's going to be a Coca-Cola on ice for him tonight. If that is to be the case. Otherwise, it'll just be a water.
Yeah, certainly will. And then we go to next week in Qatar with the title still on the line. As we say, Pratama doesn't want that, but Odaki and Phuettisan certainly do. So it's going to be an interesting race. They've had dry conditions all weekend long, apart from yesterday's race 1. So they're used to the dry conditions. There's still a few damp patches out there, mainly from where we can see on the main straight. Just see there on the left-hand side of the grid. Incidentally, that's where Pratama will be starting from pole position. I don't think it will cause too many issues, but just one to look out for. But it's going to dry pretty quickly here, and I don't think we're going to get any rain. I say that very hesitantly indeed, because in this part of the world, who knows when we can get rain at any point in time. I said Pratama was starting on pole position. He's not. Takahira will start on pole position. We're used to saying Pratama starts on pole position, and because we've been saying he's top of the championship, I immediately went to he's starting from pole position. He's not. He's starting from the middle of the second row. Takahira will start on pole position. Takahira was in the lead group yesterday, and we were watching replays of Hafiy's crash at turn 2 and completely missed what happened to Takahira, but it looked like Takahira went down pretty much straight after Hafiy did, either at turn 2 or at turn 3. We didn't get any replays, but the good thing is Takahira is on the front row and on pole position once again.
Look at that, Amon Odaki, man of the people, posing for photos ahead of the race getting underway. Is already a superstar, is Odaki, after victory yesterday. You say that front row of the grid does involve Takahira, Ezawa and Odaki. That is the man that we are going to be keeping our eyes on. The Indonesian flag on the top of his helmet is looking to become the first Indonesian to win the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup in our 10th year of running. What a monumentous occasion that would be. It goes without saying just how passionate the Indonesian fans are. So if they can have themselves a champion, it will be quite the moment.
Certainly will. Indonesia awaits, Pratama awaits, but what awaits us in race 2 here at the Sepang International Circuit? Here is your starting grid then. Takahira on pole from Ezawa and Odaki, an all-Japanese front row. An all-Japanese top 4 with Mitani starting at the spearhead of row 2, with Pratama and Hafiy joining him. Phuettisan, Ogiwara and Nikolis are on row 3. Watch out for Phuettisan. He needs to win the race really today to stand any chance of claiming the title. Al-Sahouti, Russo and Meilandri are on row 4. Row 5 is Rasyadan, Darwisy and Singhapong. His second weekend in a row for Singhapong in the Asia Talent Cup. And Putra and Chavan round out row 6 and the starting grid. Just a little bit. Here are the highlights then from race 2 here in the Idemitsu Asia Talent Cup. It was a great start from Pratama from the second row of the grid. Got a little bit of a gap, but Takahira, as he did a few times in race 2, dived at the inside at turn 9 and made Pratama's life difficult. But Pratama still led the opening couple of laps. Odaki then made his move. Odaki, of course, second in the championship, knowing exactly what he had to do. Pratama, though, after a few laps of just keeping his powder dry at the back of the group, made this move down into the final corner. And then, despite a little bit of an error coming through the apex at turn 2, just got his head down, and with Odaki making a slight mistake through turn 6, it was all she wrote for the riders trying to chase in the podium fight. This was the podium fight, which ended up being between 4 riders. This was the final corner. Odaki doing all he can to try and finish on the podium, but he got out of the seat a couple of times around turn 15, which ultimately cost him a podium chance. But it was all about Veda Pratama, a 7th win for the number 7, and Indonesia has a new star to cheer on. The 2023 title might be decided, but we roll on to Qatar for the final 2 races of the season. Join us there for a special weekend. See you soon. Here is Veda Pratama's championship video.
This is a champion's performance so far from Pratama. What a lap this is from the Indonesian.
And it is victory for Pratama.
break for victory.
What a race, what a weekend for the Indonesian.
And there he goes.
Perfection again from Pratama.
Veda Pratama, 4 in a row. Catch him if you can.